Today is Friday, April 10th, 2020. Worldwide, there are 1.6 million confirmed cases of COVID-19. There are 102,549 confirmed deaths. In Colorado, there are 6,510 confirmed cases and 250 deaths. Hello, I'm Gloria Morelia and I am a student at the Metropolitan State University of Denver. I will be graduating this May with a journalism degree and a minor in Spanish. We've been on lockdown for now 3 weeks, and honestly, for me, it's getting kind of rough. I've been outside to go get essential groceries, and by that I mean probably chips, eggs, and milk, which is probably not healthy. But anyway, other than that, my family is taking really good care of me because I have a very weak respiratory system. So if I were to get the virus, I could possibly die. So therefore, like I said, I've only been outside like 3 days. I've been playing baseball, I've been playing basketball with my brother, but other than that, I'm not going out to public places. In middle school, back in 2009, when the first case of the swine flu, the H1N1 virus that became a pandemic, was reported in California.
There have been 130 cases reported in the U.S. at this point. It's spreading, albeit slowly. The Transportation Secretary says it is safe to fly, even though Vice President Biden suggested otherwise in comments yesterday.
It was during my science class when I started feeling sick. I went up to my teacher and I told her, excuse me, I'm feeling really sick. Can I please go to the nurse? I'm not feeling well. And the professor said, the class is about to be over. You can sit down and you can go to the nurse right after. So I was like, okay, I'll go to the nurse when class is over. And I sat down, and right when the bell rang, I just couldn't hold it in anymore and I threw up. And I remember crying and sobbing, and teacher, I think it was a teacher assistant who actually helped me and took me to the nurse's office. My mom took me to the children's hospital, and as soon as I got there, they were doing fever tests. Nurses were around me, but I also had to be isolated from the rest of the people because of what was happening with the pandemic. The way they did the test was with a cotton swab. It's kind of like the one with the coronavirus, the type of testing kits that they have right now. That's what they had for the swine flu as well. The swab went up your nostril and down. It was gross, and I felt it all the way up to my head. I swore it touched my brain. Anyway, the nurses said that I had a really high fever, therefore they had to put me on machines. The high fever caused a really high heart rate, which is normal when you have a fever, but when you have that much of a fever, it could potentially cause a stroke depending on how healthy your heart is. Therefore, they had to put me on all types of machines. I remember the cardiologist had to come down because my heart was working way too fast and it wasn't normal at all, and they couldn't control my fever because I remember they gave me Tylenol and my body did not react well to it, so it made my fever worse, and therefore my heartbeat could not come back to normal. So I had to stay at the hospital for a week in isolation with just my mom. My brother stayed home and my dad was out of town working. So after, when they were able to get my fever at the right temperature and my heartbeat at the right beat, I could go back home. But back home, since we weren't ready for this, we weren't preparing for me to have the virus, the swine flu virus. We didn't really have groceries. I couldn't go back to school. It was just a hot mess. So having experienced that with the swine flu, I feel like my family and I have prepared better for this flu because we've already been through it. So I know that there are many people out there who are like, oh, you know what, this virus is nothing, like it's just gonna go away one day and we're not gonna even remember it. But there are a lot of people struggling right now because this is a real thing. So it is currently 8 p.m. in Denver, and the noises that you hear out there are people howling. So what we have done here in Colorado is that at 8 p.m. we go outside and we howl for those people who are working in the health workforce. That's basically our way of honoring you guys by those howls that you can hear outside. Today is Monday, April 13th, and it has been snowing this weekend in Denver, making everything a little bit more sad. As of today, there are 1.9 million COVID-19 confirmed cases and 119,410 deaths worldwide. So life has been kind of weird. Obviously, most of us, everybody has been going through it as well. But I kind of want to talk a little bit about transferring from classes at campus to online.
And the reason why viewers, motivators are relevant is because it helps us manipulate a little bit how our viewers see our content.
It has been a little bit difficult for me because I'm not a student to learn online. I actually like being in class, asking questions, asking the professors to help me, and obviously talking to the people around me, just because I'm a very social person, as many of us are. So it has been a difficult time because obviously we don't have that person that we can talk to. We're all online. Personally, we have been using Microsoft Teams for every single one of my classes, and you can only see 4 people at a time. Well, actually 3. And it's hard because I really, like I said, I really like talking to people. I like having fun with all of my classmates, and I like, obviously I'm kind of like the class clown, so I do like making my own jokes as well that I can't really do online. It just feels weird. Hello and welcome. Just because we're practicing social distancing and MSU Denver is closed doesn't mean that the news stops. So I was part of Met Media at campus. I was a sports producer of Noticiero TV Med.
¿En algún futuro regresarías a Denver?
No sé, probablemente.
But it was also another extracurricular activity that I used at school that I absolutely loved. I learned so much from it, and I was social with everybody, and I just developed myself a lot more in my professional career. And it was on campus. So due to campus being closed, we had to stop doing our weekly shows, our weekly noticieros. The 3 weeks prior to this being a pandemic, I was interning at Entravisión Colorado, which is a Spanish network station. And I was loving it. I was loving being there with the reporters, with the producers, and writing stories for them, and just learning a lot more about the industry. But unfortunately, I also had to stop going to that because of the pandemic. They didn't want anybody there who could be possibly exposed to the virus, and they didn't want anybody like exposed. They didn't want their staff to be exposed to that, and I honestly understand. Fortunately, I have been able to keep writing stories for them, but obviously it's not in person. It's from my room, watching news from my room, reading and writing news from my room.